In my previous life, my sister was adopted by a wealthy family while I was taken in by janitors. The wealthy family was full of internal strife, distant parents and a bullying brother, leaving her eventually disinherited and penniless. My family, however, was harmonious, and the wealthy young master even fell in love with me, a poor innocent flower, like something straight out of a television drama. My sister killed me out of resentment, and we both returned to the day of our adoption. This time, she rushed into the janitor's arms first. Christine, this time, I'll be the drama's leading lady. My sister and I were reborn to the day we were adopted from the orphanage. Two families stood in the director's office, the Brooke family and the Rowland family. The three members of the Brooke family were impeccably dressed. The man wore a tailored suit, the woman dripped with jewelry. Their only son, Hardy, wore a high school uniform with globally limited edition designer sneakers. This was Ms. 2. OD's most prestigious Brooke family. Jason was a business tycoon whose enterprises contributed the largest tax revenue in Mistwood, while Rita was a socialite who frequently appeared at jewelry auctions and charity galas, mingling with celebrities. Their son Hardy was known as the golden boy of Mistwood. In contrast, the Rowland family looked shabby. Both spouses had calluses from manual labor, and though they'd clearly worn their best clothes, sweat stains remained. According to the director, both worked at Mistwood High, the husband as a janitor, the wife as a cleaner. In my previous life, my sister Elva had chosen the Brooke family without hesitation. But now, almost afraid of being left behind, she flung herself into the cleaner's arms. "Mom, take me with you. I want to be your daughter. From now on, my name is Elva." As my sister exclaimed excitedly, I walked toward the Brooke family. With our choices made, we were each taken away by our new families. As we left the orphanage, I overheard the director muttering strangely to herself, "How odd. Elva has always been competitive and picky. Before, she wouldn't even glance at potential parents who dressed modestly. Now when a truly wealthy family comes, she doesn't choose them?" The director didn't understand why, but I did. In my previous life, my sister had schemed to be adopted by the Brooke family first, becoming Elva. She thought a princess-like life awaited her, not to mention having someone like Hardy as her brother. After all, a wealthy young master and his adopted sister was the most common pairing in romance novels. Living under the same roof often led to feelings developing through daily interactions. However, Elva never imagined that Hardy wouldn't show any brotherly tenderness. On the contrary, he despised her. "I hate opportunistic people more than anything. Don't think I can't see through you, you manipulative green tea bitch. You're just after our money, aren't you?" At home, Hardy tormented Elva. At school, he led his followers in bullying her. Even when the Brooke parents knew about it, they only offered half-hearted reprimands. They had no real affection for Elva. They'd only adopted her because a fortune teller told Jason that adopting a daughter would bring him good fortune for the next 10 years of his life cycle. Between their adopted daughter and biological son, the Brooke parents naturally favored their son. While Hardy bullied Elva, he was remarkably kind to me, adopted by the Rowland family. He saw how I earned scholarships, maintained top grades, attended school during the day, and helped my mother clean at night, living a difficult life without complaint. "That Jo Shirchu girl, she's really something," he'd say. Just like in those cheesy dramas, the rebellious rich boy fell for the resilient poor innocent girl. Later, when the Brooke parents died, Hardy brought in a team of lawyers during the inheritance division. Elva was completely outmaneuvered, left disinherited and penniless, without a cent to her name. A few months later, Hardy married me. At our wedding, he publicly declared, "Jo Shirchu, from now on, what's mine is yours." Unfortunately, I never got to enjoy Hardy's wealth. A few days later, Elva, driven to desperation and madness, killed me in a car crash. In this new life, my sister unhesitatingly chose the Rowland family. Though they lacked vast wealth, there was no scheming or manipulation. She could enjoy her parents' wholehearted love and grow up in a happy family. Her background would earn the wealthy young master's sympathy and protection, eventually leading to a fairy tale wedding. She smiled at me and said, "Sister, this time, I'll be the stereotypical drama heroine. You should get a taste of everything I went through." Elva's prediction wasn't wrong. In fact, Hardy's bullying started even earlier than in my previous life. At school, my head was forced into a sink, surrounded by boys' mocking laughter. Just as I was about to suffocate, someone grabbed my neck and pulled me up. Hardy smiled at me. "Want my family's money? Sure thing. Drink all the water from the toilet. I'll give you 100 grand for each sip. How about it?" His followers cheered excitedly. I looked at Hardy. In my previous life, this man had tenderly professed his love to me. Now he was unleashing his malice on me without restraint. But Hardy wasn't looking at me. His gaze passed over me to someone behind me. I knew Elva was there, bent over cleaning the floor. "Isn't that Elva? Why is she cleaning the floor?" One follower told Hardy. "Elva's mom is the school cleaner. She attends school during the day and helps her mother work at night." A flash of shock crossed Hardy's eyes, followed by a hint of sympathy. He called out to Elva, "Hey, it's freezing cold. Stop cleaning, nobody's checking anyway." Elva straightened up, her black hair falling over her shoulders, her delicate face wearing a stubborn expression. She shook her head. "I can't. If someone comes to check, if they find the floor dirty, my mom will lose 100 yuan from her salary. I know 100 yuan means nothing to a young master like you, but for my family, it's my food budget for an entire week." After saying this, Elva bent down and continued wiping the floor. Actually, Elva's intentions were completely obvious. With so much floor to clean, she deliberately chose to work right in front of Hardy. She had purposely let her hair down and positioned herself at the perfect angle to appear most attractive. And sadly, Hardy fell right for this kind of manipulation. Sure enough, Hardy stepped forward, helped Elva to her feet, and snatched the cloth from her hand before tossing it to one of his followers. "You guys, finish cleaning the rest for her." He glanced at Elva's hands, reddened from the cold, thought for a moment, then draped his jacket over her shoulders. "It's getting late. How are you planning to get home? By bike? You're cycling in this cold?" Hardy looked shocked, then said firmly, "Wait downstairs. I'll have my driver take you home." Elva left under Hardy's protection. Before disappearing, she turned back discreetly and flashed me a mocking smile. Moments later, everyone had dispersed, leaving only me by the sink. I struggled to my feet and used my sleeve to wipe the water dripping from my hair. "Use this instead." A cool voice sounded behind me. I turned around to see Shirley from our class. She was a quiet girl who studied diligently and always wore long sleeves regardless of the season. In my previous life, she had also helped Elva when she was being bullied. She had offered Elva a towel and advised her to expose Hardy's bullying, but Elva had slapped her hand away. "What do you know? He's my brother." Back then, Elva was still harboring unrealistic dreams of making Hardy fall for her. After that incident, Shirley stopped getting involved and went back to her solitary ways. Later, as graduation approached, Shirley calm. "It's suicide." Only then did we learn that her family was extremely poor, her grandmother was bedridden, and her father was a gambler who not only abused her but also tried to sell her to pay off his debts. Now, she stood beside me, holding a clean towel. I hesitated before taking it. She didn't say much, just turned to leave. She probably thought there was nothing worth saying to someone like Christine. As I watched her figure about to disappear, I suddenly called out, "Shirley." She stopped in her tracks. I ran my fingers through my hair casually. "Well, I just transferred here and don't know my way around yet. Where's the cafeteria? Could you show me?" The cafeteria table was set with 4 dishes and a soup, braised pork ribs, steamed egg with meat, cola chicken wings, stir-fried vegetables, and clam winter melon soup. As expected of Mistwood, the best high school, the cafeteria food was always something to be proud of. I ran my fingers through my hair again. Oops, I accidentally got too much food. Wasting food is shameful. "You haven't had dinner either, right? Let's eat together?" After a moment of silence, Shirley finally picked up her fork and began eating in small bites. I noticed her wrists peeking out from her uniform sleeves, thin and bony. In truth, girls like Shirley were the ones who truly needed help, but because they weren't pretty and didn't cry out in pain, they would only become forgotten weeds in the garden of youth, never qualifying to be the protagonist of a teen drama. In this life, I was determined to save not only myself but her as well. My mind made up, I spoke. "Gosh, conic sections are so difficult. I can't understand them at all." "Shirley, you're good at studying. Would you mind tutoring me?" Shirley, with a mouthful of braised pork ribs, looked shocked, as if thinking, "Since when are we this close?" I didn't give her a chance to refuse. Throwing an arm around her shoulders, I said cheerfully, "Then it's decided. I'll pay you for tea." Tutoring. I gave Shirley part of my allowance, calling it advance payment for tutoring. Looking at the envelope containing 100 red bills, she was too shocked to speak. In truth, whether in my previous life or this one, the Brooke family never skimped on basic necessities and living expenses for their adopted daughter. But what was pocket change to Hardy was enough for Shirley to buy medicine for her grandmother, pay hospital bills, and even rent a small place off campus to escape her abusive father. After arranging the next day's tutoring session with Shirley, I returned home. The luxurious mansion was empty. Jason was out at a business dinner, and Rita was at the beauty salon for treatments. As for Hardy, he was probably having dinner at the Rowland family's home. In my previous life, Hardy had his driver take me home, and when the Rowland family's adoptive parents saw him, they enthusiastically invited him to stay for dinner. Then, just like in a typical teen drama, that GLE dinner allowed the young master, who had grown up in a cold, wealthy household, to experience the warm family atmosphere of a humble home. The Rowland parents' perpetually sincere smiles, the small, shabby but homey room, all of it made Hardy yearn for such a life and grow even fonder of the poor, innocent flower who had grown up in such a family. Right now, he and Elva would be eating simple food with little flavor, yet they were probably both very happy. I slowly changed into my Hermes nightgown, washed my face with Chanel cleanser, ate the bird's nest soup with rock sugar that the housekeeper brought up, and smirked coldly. No one knew that while the Rowland couple was indeed poor, they were far from wholesome. The husband and wife strongly favored boys over girls, a common traditional bias in some families, and had originally wanted to adopt a son. But since there were no non-disabled boys at the orphanage, they settled for a pretty girl, hoping she would attract a wealthy husband. In the future, when they saw Hardy dropping their daughter off, the couple was practically buzzing with excitement, immediately inviting this potential son-in-law in and treating him well. The so-called family warmth and homey atmosphere were nothing but an act. After all, to impress a young master from a wealthy family, this was all they had to offer. In my previous life, when I told them I didn't want to marry Hardy, my adoptive mother locked me in my room, and my adoptive father beat me half to death with a table leg and a belt. Elva thought she had entered heaven in this life, not knowing that true heaven doesn't exist in this world. The Brooke family was a wealthy hell, while the Rowland family was a poor hell. Who could crawl out of hell alive depended on one's own abilities. In the days that followed, Hardy's malice grew increasingly vicious. When I opened the lunchbox prepared by the housekeeper, I found it filled with thumbtacks. My facial cleanser and toothpaste would squeeze out dead spiders. The dresses in my closet had holes burned into them by cigarettes. And whenever I looked up in shock, I would meet Hardy's malicious smile. He would mouth to me, "Christine, you deserve this." Hardy thought I would cry, but I simply emptied out the thumbtacks, threw the spiders in the trash, and folded the dresses neatly away. At this, the smile disappeared from Hardy's face. He stared at me intently, saying through gritted teeth, "Let's see how long you can keep up this act."